Now, Donald Trump says he is 100% confident there will be a deal with the EU, which is right now facing 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum and cars and other goods. Giorgia Meloni is at the White House from Italy right now as we speak. I mean, I guess short of having not put tariffs on the EU in the first place, it seems to me that Trump really needs to start bedding down some deals right now, or those bond markets we just spoke about are going to get really skittish again in the next week or two, which could again cause more global sell-offs in shares. Again, what do you make of the chance of this sort of grand deal that Trump is talking up?
I think they need a deal. I'm not sure that the EU as a whole is going to be one of the early deals. Keep in mind, it's very difficult to deal with the EU. If you want to call the European Union, who do you call? I mean, it's not entirely clear, and they act as a group of nations. Is one of the reasons that so many of us were excited when the United Kingdom left the EU. It allowed us to do deals with them on a bilateral basis. Trump's meeting was with Italy today, with Prime Minister Meloni, and from all accounts, it went very, very well. And there's a chance that maybe we cut a small side deal with Italy, although that's hard while Italy's still in the EU. For this reason, James, I think it's more likely we see a deal early on with someone like Japan, country like Vietnam, South Korea, even Australia, those types of things, although I don't think the Australians have sent a trade delegation yet. But I understand that the South Koreans, for example, were in the Treasury building as recently as Friday of last week. Trump needs a deal. That the markets want it, the bond markets want it, the equities markets want it, people want it. They want to know what the plan is. And listen, I've got faith in the president being able to cut some deals. I just think he needs to put one on the board fairly soon.
Yeah, exactly. And it's got to all be about getting that focus back onto the main game here, which is China, which we're going to talk about a little later in the program. But I want to move on to another issue here. There's a lot of controversy in the press about an alleged MS-13 gang member who some say was wrongly deported to that notorious prison in El Salvador. Now, the guy is called Kilnar Abrego Garcia, but it has been revealed that actually he did have strong ties to the gang, according to court documents. There are allegations that he beat his ex-wife, and there are also reports out of Tennessee that he had been caught in a people smuggling ring by the Tennessee Highway Patrol, but Biden's FBI let him go. He doesn't seem like a great guy, and yet he's become the cause célèbre for Democrats and the left here. Explain why this is the hill they want to die on.
Yeah, in fact, I heard a sick joke the other day that maybe what the Israeli hostages need to do in Gaza is to dress up as MS-13 folks so that the Democrats will care about bringing them back. It's a tough decision. Look, that the courts have ruled. The Supreme Court ruled. I mean, the Supreme Court ruled. That's it. That's as high as you can get in my country. And they said that the administration had to facilitate the return of this particular individual. I don't know what that means. It leaves a lot of wiggle room, and the White House is taking advantage of it. I'm not really sure why they just didn't say, look, we tried to bring the guy back, and the president of El Salvador won't let us. The president of El Salvador said as much in the Oval Office meeting this week, that this is an El Salvadoran citizen, that he doesn't want to leave the nation. That's his right as the president of El Salvador. So it's a very tough situation. There's no question. There was no adjudication on this guy's status as a gang member. There's no final determination. There's a lot of evidence. So it's a really very murky situation. I'm not sure how it's going to get worked out. My guess is there'll be some other piece of news in the next day or two to push this one to the back burner as well.
Yeah, but I think that point you make, Mick, that this man is not an American citizen and he is not a Maryland father, which is the way they like to portray him in the press. That's a little misleading. Hey, finally, I just want to get your big thought.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but it bears repeating. Man is an illegal immigrant. And I think one thing I think everybody agrees on, even if you don't like what the White House is saying, is that he was never going to stay here. He's not going to stay here. He might not end up in El Salvador, but he was never going to stay in the United States of America. There's no circumstances in this administration where this man is coming back to live in this country. He's here illegally and will be leaving one way or the other.
And Mick, finally, before I let you go, I just want to get your quick thoughts on Harvard University. I remember a year and a half ago when Harvard was, saying that they couldn't do anything about anti-Semitism. Well, all of that seems to have come back and bitten them. Their tax-exempt status is now up for grabs. That's going to go to the courts, but I reckon Trump is on a real winner here, picking a fight with Harvard, which has been involved with basically every wrong side of the culture war fights for the last 20 or 30 years, including not defending Jewish students from really vile anti-Semitism and admissions practices, which are downright racist.
You know, and that's really what's at the heart of this. Look, in my country, I never thought we'd be here. I've been around government a good bit, but I never thought I'd be in a country where on a good day, it was uncomfortable for a person to go to school because of their faith. And on a bad day, it was dangerous for them to go to school because of their faith. That's exactly what happened on many of these college campuses for Jewish students, and it's absolutely flat out wrong. And if Donald Trump's administration wants to try to do everything they can to prevent taxpayer dollars from going to support that kind of behavior, they're going to get a lot of support, and not just from me. I think it's a winning political argument. It's the right policy argument. Harvard is not, and one of my alma maters. So I went to school there. They are not entitled to taxpayer money, and I have to give the administration credit for standing up to them for the first time in a long time. Even Republican administrations were afraid to do that in the past.
Mick Mulvaney, well said. Thank you so much for your time, and have a very happy Easter.
Thanks, James, to you as well.